Good day, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to Age of Fear 2, the Chaos Lord and me, Cornish-Knight, as we go into a reattempt of the previous battle. Now, the developers have added some new things to the game in between the last episode and this one, so I'll be really happy to show them off. We should get around to seeing them in time, so it's all going to be good. And as always, at the moment, this is going to be post-commentary. We're back into our character selection screen. I'm just fiddling around with some stuff, just seeing if the developers have changed anything. They said that they fiddled with one or two things. As you can see, they've put this spell magic in for the shaman, which is something I think he really needed. To be honest, I don't see why no mage has it. It's a basic thing you would know. So I buy the spell magic, which is very nice. Just going through, just seeing what they have. And I remembered I should really probably buy healing potions for the trolls, because even with regen it's always good to have that little touch up. And I'm slightly stunned here why I can't actually buy health potions, and then I don't realise at the time that I'm in a post-battle scene, so that's why it's preventing me from doing this. But hey ho. We get out of here. I remember to give Earl a healing potion. No, not a healing potion, a mana potion, just because he really needs to have it. I sort of got a bit lax with the shaman. It was because they weren't as useful. I hadn't remembered to keep up with them. Going through my units, having a nice look around. At this point I forget that I'm sort of wondering why there weren't any units there to select. I had forgotten this was, like, as I said, a post-battle scene, and I just decided to continue. As I have said, the developers have put some new stuff in.
Growing bored of the human forest, Kadzok and his gang headed into a swamp. Thick fog clouded their sight, and the sounds of wildlife seemed to be everywhere, yet remained undefinably distant. Kadzok's scouts spent many hours looking for a space to camp. The local wildlife were not stupid enough to seek out or attack Kadzok's gang, but the orcs, on the other hand, were hunting those creatures for food. Kadzok's boys struggled to find creatures, since there were so many places the wildlife could hide. But the orcs and Kadzok's gang enjoyed the challenge nonetheless, thinking that it made them better warriors. During one contented meal in the swamp, Hurl came to sit with Kadzok. Kadzok is strong warrior. Kadzok become true warlord. Kadzok not fear anyone. Kadzok kill Razir now. Kadzok take place of Father Bloody Axe. Razir far away. Kadzok and boys need go clanland. Go tomorrow. Early the next morning, the gang was ready to move on and head back to Kadzok's homeland. Unfortunately, there was one more force standing in the way. Orcs, stay where you are. Kneel before my undead legion. From the thickness of the fog, a cruel, husky voice called out. The rotting and grotesque remains of many different creatures erupted from beneath the marshes of the swamp. Before the party could react, they enclosed Kadzok and his gang in a circle. The smell of decaying flesh reached Kadzok's nose. The orcs did not care too much about the stench, but the goblins and the other, less foul-smelling creatures of Kadzok's gang gagged in discomfort. But all raised their weapons, ready to send the myriad of rotting bodies back beneath the sludge. "What dead meat want?" demanded Kadzok. "I offer you to join my army of unspeakable horrors. I offer you the treasure of immortality and the pleasure of keeping your mind. Deny me, and you shall lose both." While not the smartest creature in the world, Kadzok knew what joining the undead horde meant. Kadzok was nobody's servant, and he most certainly wanted to go on living. Katsok no interested. Katsok want nothing with dead meat. Stupid creature. Come with me, and you will never be forgotten. Dare to defy your future master, and I will curse your souls forever. Katsok bored of dead meat. Boys, kill!
I do like the artwork in this game. The developers have done a really good job. And here we go. Next battle features a Banshee which can curse your allies and weaken their attacks. Curse can be cancelled with same as the spell magic spell. That's something the developers have put in since the last time we've been here. As you can see, we can select more units. We can select... I considered getting another ogre, but I wanted to check some stuff out, remembering that they'd mentioned that Taz had been fixed as well. I had suggested to them that maybe they should have either made Taz a hero or just like give him the access for double attack earlier, because he was really powerful when we fought him in the maze, and after that he wasn't, because it took so long to get his XP up. So I grabbed that. I grabbed stun because having a character that does double attack and has a 50% chance to get stun every time is really useful. No, I like Taz, but as he previously was, he wasn't that useful because he used to frenzy with one attack and not do a lot during the battle. So having two attacks means that he can clear up the riffraff a lot quicker. I considered taking another ogre. I had mentioned it in the previous video. I discussed taking another ogre just because they have two attacks and it's useful for killing the undead, but I decided not to do it. And I just remember at this point maybe I should start. I just think about giving potions and checking out some skills, checking out the skills for my sappers, and just considering some stuff. And there we go. We're going to go into the battle and we can see what the developers have done. Just remember, just before we go, it's like, yeah, I need to give healing potions. And we go up. And I mean, Brute Sprew's nice, but I'd rather just give healing potions to people because the orcs don't have any natural healing. And I also decide, just as a backup plan, that I'm going to give Katsok another healing potion, so he has two. One for taking care of small injuries, one to take care of the fact that if he gets smacked by something massive like Drain Life, Drain Life is a really nasty spell. If you're fully healed, it will like rip your character to bits, especially if it's an improved Drain Life, which takes off 4 health bar instead of 2. And we dive into the newly fixed battle. The developers say they have fixed it somewhat, which I'm looking forward to, so it'll be interesting to see. Deployment zone looks the same. Right, they've got one less plague zombie, one less hydra from what I can see, one less vampire as well. I think they may have got rid of one of the skeleton riders. To be honest, the vampires were like, I didn't mind her there being another vampire. I mean, don't mind them getting with the hydras. Like, I could have probably dealt with 2 of the hydras. It wouldn't have been a problem. It would have been a harder fight, but it shouldn't have been too hard. Reducing the plague zombies is a good thing though, because literally they are absolutely. 3 of them was like absolutely murderous. I mean, 2 of them is still pretty dangerous because you're going to get the lits popping them up every turn. But with the new dispel, I can do a really good tactic, which is I can shove the magic caster behind the front line, and he can just start casting dispel on the enemy magical users and making them less useful. It was something that I enjoyed doing in the human faction when I had a magic caster. I don't believe you get dispel. I don't think you get. No, you do get dispel as undead. You do get dispel as undead. You don't get meditation. That's what the trick of the undead is. I suddenly realised that Katsok's got a poisoned earring, which won't be that helpful, and so I take it off and put the life amulet of life on him. Just because obviously the poison zombies won't be affected and the undead won't be affected, so it will reduce my chance to hit them if I'm having the poisoned earrings on. I leave Taz at the back just because I know the Sage is going to turn up, and with his 2 attacks and he's got an area effect attacks, it means that he should be able to deal with them very quickly and get back to where I am. So first thing I do is I run Taz down here, just wait for the Sage to turn up. we've got the zombies, and I decide to send the sappers out to deal with them. My plan is really simple: soften one of the zombies up with the sapper, and then kill him off with Katzog, because he's got basically 2 attacks which can kill most low enemies, and if not, we just chuck something else at him. The other zombie, my plan is to basically pin him with like my regeneration units, with my trolls and my heavy duty ogre I can easily heal up, and either kill him with them or literally pick him off using the assassins, because they have a really high hit bonus. I also leave that particular orc there just in case the sage try and make a run for my assassins, and I can block them with them, or at least stop them from getting into back contact and backstabbing, because that's what was really killing my guys last game. I don't think they needed to get rid of the... I mean, I personally would have kept like all the vampires in and maybe the skeleton cav. I don't know. The thing is, you don't want to take too many of the units out, otherwise the fight becomes quite easy. I like the fact they got rid of the extra... only 2 sage instead of 3, and they're less health. Interesting. Yeah, the fight is definitely going to be a lot easier now. Personally, I would have stayed with having 5 vampires instead of 4, but I mean, it's still a good fight. I mean, personally, if you're going to drop one of the vampires, I would have kept one of the vampire hydra in, because to be honest, they're not actually as tough as you think they are. They're relatively slow, which means you can outmaneuver them. So I probably would have just, if you were going to drop a vampire and an undead rider, which is what I think the developers have done, then I would have... I make a mistake here and shoot him. I sort of shot him with the other one with the archer instead of that zombie there, and I realised my mistake. But if it were me, I would have, if I was going to drop that many units, I would have kept the other hydra in, because yeah, the hydra, like the big hydra, looks tough, but they're massively weak. They have, like, you can relatively easily hit them. I pulled Taz back here because I know the sage are going to probably go straight for my range units, so I'm going to try and block them using Taz. I find the best way to deal with people like the sage is to just literally have multi-attack units in the back. I was a bit surprised here that the Lich used Poison Cloud this early, because it's a rather high mana point spell, and he only hit Katzog, which isn't like the biggest problem in the world. Plus, my Shaman is right behind me, so I can just dispel it. As you can see, they've also had their teleportation reduced. The developers did make comment to me that the reason that the Sage was so powerful was that this map had basically been designed... you can see this is why I give him the invulnerability potion, because I know that the Sage will try and backstab him. So I give him the invulnerability potion to basically give him massive resistance. Yeah, basically the developers made comment that the reason that I was finding the map so difficult was that the map had been developed before a lot of the features like backstab and stuff had been introduced, so it was throwing off the balance of the game. As you see, I heal Katzog with his poison, so it was one of the reasons the fight was so hard. Like, the map hadn't been designed to deal with like the far-reaching teleportations of the Sage, or the fact they could backstab. And it was meaning that the whole like economy of the battle was like thrown out of order. So he very quickly fixed it. I'm just realigning my units so that my Shaman can't get attacked. I forget to realise that I leave my Goblin Sapper open at this point, which means the skeletons charge him. Sage go for backstab, but they miss. To be honest, it was rather an interesting... This is actually quite an interesting fight. I am happy with what they did here, the fact that they all sort of bunched up, because it meant that I could just charge my Shapper into the middle of a lot of their expendable troops and just blow them up. It's one of the weaknesses I find with the undead faction, is that they have skeletons, and skeletons are relatively weak. As you see, we have a lovely attacks. He got an extra attack for killing the first shade and then finished it off, so he basically wiped them all out. It takes him a turn, I don't get control of him, But that's like the benefit of having Taz for this fight. I go to pop him and realise my my troll is there, and I thought I'd better pull him back. I've considered charging him over there, but it would expose my assassins, so I don't. So I pop him there. He's still in range. He takes a massive whack. It almost kills him. We kill off a lot of the skeletons. I pop the health potion. This is where having health potions on trolls is useful, because it keeps them in fights for a lot longer. Ah, bad hit. Oh, bad miss, I should say. We just start targeting, firing. See, look, this is the problem that I was saying. I wouldn't have taken out the other Hydra. The thing is, the other Hydra is like, you normally have like an 80% hit chance on the things. So they go down relatively quickly, especially if you've got units that have multiple attacks. They go down really, really quickly. And yes, they have multiple attacks themselves, but I don't know. If you were going to drop a vampire and the rider and the Hydra, I would have kept the Hydra. It makes the fight a bit more challenging. See, I can just pop out, say, Chain Lightning. I kill off that vampire. That skeleton's massively damaged. The Hydra's massively damaged. They can't heal unless they eat people, so as long as you kill them on the turn that you attack them, it's relatively potent. Lich pops up. The plague zombie or the skeletons are re-healing. Hydra goes in, goes for the big boy. Vampire goes for the big boy. And then moving up, there's the Banshee. Just having Dispel to counter the debuffs that the Banshee was throwing out was really useful. I charged Taz back towards the combat, trying to flank them with my main force. We try and kill off that skeleton, but I have no luck. No luck at all, which is making me worried because I think he's going to get himself killed, which would really suck. I can't hit him with the range unit, so I just target fire down the Hydra again. And at this point I could have probably killed off the Hydra, but I decided to go for the Knight because I want to try and save my assassins. And I chuck the troll in. I just try and tie up the vampires. To be honest, in this fight I find the vampires to be like the massive risk, because they are really quite nasty. At this point I'm considering what to do. My plan is to chuck that orc that I've selected in against the plague zombie. Hope the plague zombie pops and that he does damage to his surrounding units. It doesn't quite work out that way, unfortunately. I forget that the AI tends to fight the plague zombie. If the plague zombie's like in melee, it will basically fight rather than pop, which is a bit of annoyance that I'd forgotten about. I'm not too worried about Hurl. He basically is rather tough in combat. I try and cast a withering spell on the zombie. I probably should have cast it on the Banshee, but I didn't, and the vampire resists it. That was an interesting tactic. There you can see the Banshee popping her debuff. They pop back up the vampire with Undead Rise. And this is where I get worried, is the fact that as you can see, the Hydra gets health back for every attack that hits. I get a bit worried because obviously they've just rezzed a whole load of people and that orc is particularly exposed. So I get a bit nervous. I move Taz up to go toe to toe with the Hydra, and we start planning anew. I start firing down. Well, for first, I basically. What do I do? Let's see. Blah blah blah. Ah, yeah, Dispel. I used Dispel on the ogre to get rid of the debuff, which is really useful. Then I basically smack this vampire, hoping that we can kill him this turn. And he has really bad luck, and he basically dies in one turn. The remaining of my people, I just chuck in and just try and kill off the Hydra, or at least weaken him in enough that we can kill him off next turn. As I said, they're relatively weak. I was actually surprised just by how weak the Hydras were. At this point, I decided to try and kill off that skeleton, and I realised that I've made a mistake because we couldn't kill it, the Hydra this turn, so I've left that orc exposed. So I decided I have to kill the Hydra this turn. So I attack him and manage it luckily, and then I go for the vampire as well. And then I start firing at the surrounding undead. Try and kill the Banshee if I can. I hate the Banshees are very nasty debuffers in this game. It's gonna pop. He takes a little bit of damage. Banshee moves up there. Plague Zombie comes back. I get really lucky. I would have lost that orc, partly because of my bad placement earlier on in the game. And I decide to pull out to orc. He's going to basically make a break for it. I try and send an orc up to engage some of their range units because their range units are killing me. Katzog goes and kills the Banshee. And we start smacking on that plague zombie. I pull that orc back, give him a health potion so that he can stay in the fight, and I decide I'm going to get rid of his poison attribute with Hurl's cleansing spell, which is always useful. I charge Taz up here so he can start wrecking face on multiple people, which is really nice. Stun the zombie. We missed with both of those, which is a shame. But you can see in this kind of situation Taz is really useful and you don't need to manage him. He's literally just going to go wild and you can leave him to it. Just keep punching on that vampire. That particular vampire was very tough indeed. I decide if I want to attack someone, but I don't want to leave a gap open for them to get in and kill my assassins. Because not only will it benefit them, it will basically give magic back to their caster. So we target down that vampire quickly. Weaken up that vampire. At this point the Lich throws out another toxic cloud, which sucks. They're trying to pin down that one orc that's run off. I try and keep the vampires below maximum health because they get massive buffs if they start overcharging. Vampires get additional damage if they're beyond their minimum health, if they're above their maximum health limit at the start of the game. So if they go beyond 4 at this point, they start getting quite powerful. I start healing my my orcs because they have a bit more resilience. I charge my Minotaur in here and hopefully give them a bit of benefit. And just keep smacking on them. I should have really moved them to a slightly better position in all honesty, but I didn't. That was a bit of a bad unit management on my part. I send up the ogre to smack this vampire. Just keep him dead. I keep missing a lot of 70% at the moment, which is frustrating. And I start pushing with the rest of my monstrous units, just trying to... I used trolls a bit of like arrow fodder because they regen, they can take a lot of arrow damage, so I used them predominantly just to absorb range damage from units. I decide that I don't want to send any of my range units in because they're squidgy and will get themselves killed. I consider sending that orc up, but he'll get killed in 3 turns if he's not lucky, if he's not fortunate. So I don't do it. Guys take poison damage. All of these guys can take it. Except that one orc down the bottom. They all decide to try and fire down Taz because I take it that he's a bigger threat to them. Taz moves up on his own and just starts butchering people, which is always pleasant to see. I send the ogre up to deal with the archer and we miss. See, look, I miss so many 70%, it's unbelievable. I decide to use, why didn't I attack with that guy? Move Hurl up to cover, I use a troll to kill him. Why didn't I attack with that orc? That's frustrating. At this point I decide to go for the spellcaster. and I make a mistake at this point. I make a mistake. I forget about the necromancer's, well, the lich's drain life ability, which means that if he's got it upgraded, which he probably has at this point, he's going to be doing 4 damage because he's at full health, and he'll drain life from me and go over. I also start smacking up boxes and stuff with the characters that I don't want to be in combat. And as you can see, there's a number of things lying about. I don't believe I missed using that orc. What was I thinking? See, there he goes. He unleashes on me and does an absolute ton of damage. I get nervous here and pop the Essence of Life potion, which regens all my hit points, because I don't want to be... that was mistaken. I did the undo button. Do dispel on the Lich just to prevent any residue magic build up. Just start smacking him because I'm desperate to basically get rid of his health before he can do another drain life on me. Because if he's, like I say, if he's above like starting maximum, he gets massive bonuses. We finally kill off that skeleton archer, and now it's pretty much mop up. If I want to make a comment about this fight, I would say that I wouldn't have taken the extra Hydra out. It was a hard fight. I don't say it was a hard fight, but I would have probably kept the extra Hydra in because I found the Hydra to be relatively weak. He'll want to have the skull for my collection. Why? He'll have ritual, no, make good pot. Ooh, I want to. I do like the dialogue stuff in this game. Let me go about looting stuff. I remember that at this point it's probably not a good idea to send people with with less than half health to open chests because of obviously the rats coming out and killing people. So I decided at this point only to send people that have like full health to go and open things, or at least nearly full health, so they can survive the surprise turn of combat. But no, I think I wouldn't have taken out the vampire and the extra undead rider. Well, I would have if you were going to. Sorry, I rephrase. If you were going to take out the undead rider and the vampire, I wouldn't have taken out the Hydra. I would have had 2 Hydra. They're relatively squishy. They're relatively easy to hit. I didn't have any problems dealing with them in the last game. We got a hell of a treasure, potions. Ooh, okay, that mana concentration, that power concentration potion means that we're getting near to a boss fight, just because those only turn up when we have boss fights coming close. What do we get? Money. Ooh, meteor iron armor. That looks nice. Silver bar. So we get a good load of loot from this. We didn't lose anyone. I would have probably kept the Hydra in. I did think this battle was much more improved over the last time. Felt a lot fairer. I would have kept the other Hydra in though. I would have had 2 Hydra. Nice little gimmicky fight. We end the battle.
The battle was at first swift. The undead were smashed to pieces with ease, but wave after wave of the monsters arose to advance once again. Kadzok found himself wondering how they walked over so many bodies. But soon enough, the undead horde had fallen, and the twitching body of the Lich lay smashed and crumpled at Kadzok's feet. Kadzok's boys were already scavenging around in the shallow, stagnant water, and feeling under the surface for anything that might be of value. Holding up some glowing stone, Hurl's eyes shone with excitement. Magic stone! Dead meat chief have magic crystal! Hurl taking it for self. Uncle Hurl like shiny stone, huh? Kadzok no impressed by loot. Hurl found nice thing for Kadzok too. The warlock passed the orc a strangely shaped amulet. Dead meat no fun, complained Kadzok, ripping the head from the Lich. Dead meat spoil good day. Dropping the rotten head in front of him, Kadzok kicked it before it hit the floor. The mass of flesh shot off into a large tree, shattering in a mess of flesh and bone as it did. standing for a moment as if baffled. Katzok's expression quickly turned into a smile. Dead meat no fun. Dead meat head fun. Katzok began ripping heads from the corpses and kicking them at trees. To begin with, the gang simply looked at him stupidly. But after a while, they joined in, and soon rotting heads were flying all around the swamp as they competed at smashing them into trees.
And now we get to show off the newest feature of the Age of Fear series. I've been really looking forward to this. Open world map. We get to look at the world map, which looks absolutely incredible. And as you can see, we have side objectives now that we can go to, not just in the main game. This is our chief's done a few days later. You reach the end of the swamp. They enter. And now we have this. Mana Stone. The events are before them come crowing. Sorry, that's my mistake. We have all kinds of nice little things popping up, all kinds of side quests as optional. That one gives money, that one produces experience. Oh, so many cool things. The map looks incredible. The developers have been doing this in the background for a while now. Oh, it looks so good. I'm so excited. And I get to show off so much new cool stuff. We're going to save now. You can see here. These are like, you can see the places you can go. But oh, so good, so cool. We're going to save the game. I'm so happy for the developers. They work so hard in this game and it looks incredible. Like, all this stuff looks fantastic. And we're going to exit. I've been Cornish-Knight. If you've liked, please press the like button. If you wish to subscribe, please press the subscription button. You can follow me on Twitter, on Steam, or leave a comment in the comment section and I'll get back in contact with you. I hope you all have a lovely day. Goodbye.